be to repeat what we already know what the Quran says about him and the authentic statements of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's it. So I don't know why that book, again, it's like an emotional piece for some Muslims. Either that or I'm just getting jaded in my old age.
What do you mean by emotional?
Well, I'm just saying, like, Muslims get excited that it's like this book that affirms who we believed who Sayyidina Isa was, alayhi salam, and because it's presumably written by Christians and not, this was written by some Ethiopian Christians. No, we know what they mean by like European Christians, right? So it's kind of like what we were talking about last night, that a lot of this similar kind of thinking that, you know, if I give a khutbah or I give a talk and I talk about something in Islam, or like, you know, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the greatest man that ever lived. Yeah, man. All right, come on, wrap it up, right? But Craig Considine gets up there and is, you know, I think, you know, Muhammad was one of the greatest men that ever lived. They're like, oh man, you know, here, man, take our money. You know, it's like, you know, I'm serious. This is like an issue that we have.
Yeah, it's like our own corpus.
We need others. We've been so othered by them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost getting to like sort of like Sa'idian Orientalism, right? But it's like we've been so othered, or many of us have been so othered by European Christianity and European civilization that the only way we can see value in ourselves and truth in our creed is by that which they concur with, if you understand what I'm saying, right? And so, in my personal opinion, a book like the Gospel of Barnabas kind of falls into that psychological canopy, right? That, in fact, if this were an intra-Muslim conversation and I brought some book of like, hey man, I found this book of hadith, you know, it's got a bunch of hadith in it. Oh, are they sahih? Are they hasan? Are they, now you're a muhaddith, right? Right? Even though you couldn't spell muhaddith. But now all of a sudden you're a muhaddith. And this is what I mean. It's like, you know, when it comes to the intra-Muslim conversation, all of a sudden, then we put on our thinking cap, hey, we got to know if this is right or wrong, authentic, not authentic, right? But if this European cat is like, yeah, you know, there's some value in Islam. See, he said that there's value in Islam. So, you know, we're of value. Again, I could potentially be getting jaded in my, you know, that's what happens when you go old, man. Your hair falls out, you know. Just have one printout. Wa alaikum salam. Okay, let's see here.
I kind of look at that. Like last night.
Yeah. That Umar ibn al-Khattab was the sixth most influential person in the world.
Who did that? I forgot his name. But of course, which was interesting. For me, I don't need you to validate it for me. I already know that. However, I'm glad you finally conceded and are telling your people the truth. That's you.
Okay, good. I do have it with me. All right. So we're gonna, let's see, we'll start with these. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walahu wa ba'd. So last time we had the document al-Qa'imatu al-Rabi'ah, the list number 4. So two main things today. I want to go, because we only did a couple of the example sentences, and I wanted to go through those, a few more, and then we will read from our the new section of the Risala. So you should also have a handout from last week. At the top it says Bab ma tantiqu bihi al-alsinati, on and on and on. Right, I'll have bold print at the top that should look like this. So if you don't have it, I can print it out, but you should have that one from last week. Should look like this one. Right, so this is the new section of the Risala. So we'll read the second, but we're going to start with, we'll start here with our list number 4 from last week. And so we were talking about that we had what? The af'al that were mu'atalla ajwaf. Right, so we had verbs that are ajwaf. Ajwaf, that means what? They're hollow in the middle. So we had verbs such as ba'a and qala, and what else did we have in here? Zada, khafa, zada, khafa, and such and such. And so the part that they all had in common is this middle letter, which for some of them, that middle letter is either going to be, in terms of the jadr or the asl, in terms of its root, is either going to be a waw or a ya. So if you look it up, in the dictionary, like if you wanted to look up ba'a, qala, zada, khafa, right? Because technically, these are all in the sigha, in the voicing of what? Number 1 is they are madin, they're past tense, and they are mudhakkar, they're masculine, and then they are not nakira, sorry. They are nakira, meaning that they are singular. So we have past tense, masculine, and singular. So that's what, when it's conjugated in this particular voicing with the weak vowel in the middle, which is hollow, when it's changed to the alif here, then even though we tend to use that in a kind of infinitive way, technically, right, harfiyan, al-ma'na bil-Ingliziyya, he sold, he said, he increased, he feared, right, and so on. So, again, we call this is a verb that is what? Ajwa. They are hollow in the middle. So let's just kind of bang through, if we can try to get through our example sentences here, and then we'll go and read from our section on the Risala. So number 1, kanat li. Hopefully we'll remember this one. Maybe you can cheat a little bit in the beginning by remembering what we did last week. So what? Kanat li tajriba. What? كانت لي تجربة في أو مفيدة في actually, no, what is it? العمل الجديد. I'm trying to look over. Okay. في العمل الجديد. Okay. So كانت لي تجربة. ما معنى تجربة؟ Experience. مفيدة. ما معنى مفيدة؟ Beneficial. Right? Beneficial. في حرف جار. العمل، ما معنى العمل؟ Yeah, give me another word in Arabic for al-amal. Do you know the word شغل? Okay, right. So في العمل يعني في الشغل الجديد. ما معنى جديد بالإنجليزية؟ New. Okay, تمام. So, but the part that we had last time we discussed a little bit was هذا. So, بين كانت وتجربة كلمة أو حرف, right? لي. وما هي أجزاء لي? What are the parts related to this word لي? So, في جزءان. Really, there's two parts. الجزء الأول حرف جار لي. هذا هو الجزء الأول. والجزء الثاني, the second part, يا. ولكن أي نوع هذا الياء? What kind of ya is this? بس, right? ولكن نسمه, we call it what? The ya نفسي. يا نفسي. نفسي بمعنى شو؟ نفسي. Me. أنا. Right? Mine. So when you attach the ya to something, then this is, we'll call this the ya نفسي. So مثلا كتاب وكتابي, right? كتاب وكتابي. كتاب بمعنى شو؟ كتاب. A book, right? وما معنى كتابي؟ My book. Okay, right? So الياء على آخر الكلمة هو يا نفسي. Right? So the ya on the end of that is ya نفسي. نفس الشيء, it's the same thing, مع الحرف جار. حرف جار لي بمعنى ما? Generally, like the حرف جار of لي, what does this mean? Something is being possessed or owned. Give me a common phrase or example that we use all the time that uses specifically حرف جار. أعطيني مثلا نستخدم يوميا بحرف جار. Give me an example that we utilize with the حرف جار, خاصا حرف جار لي. كلكم تستخدمون هذا الحرف يوميا. You all use this حرف every single day. الحمد لله. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحرف في لله وكذلك في جزءان, right? الجزء الأول والجزء الثاني في هذه الكلمة لله. ما هو الجزء الأول؟ الجواب أمامكم. صح؟ So, الجزء الأول ما؟ لي. جيد. وما هو الجزء الثاني؟ الله. ولكن في تجميع هذه الكلمتان, when we join these two words together, الألف عدم همزة عدم غير همزة no همزة هذا الألف كيف تقول هذه الكلمة محذوف نعم محذوف means it is removed right it is eliminated it's removed so when we make the tajmi' when we join together نجمع الحرف لي مع الاسم الله الألف محذوف وأصبحت كأنها كلمة واحدة then it becomes like it's one word right الحمد لله so الجزء الأول حرف جار الجزء الثاني الله وننظر العلامة حرف جار في أخير الكلمة الله الهاء في أخير كلمة الله أو هو موضوع أو هو منصوب أو هو مجرور مجرور لماذا؟ أين يعني وين العلامة للجار where is the sign or the indication that it is مجرور لا الحرف لي نعم الكسرة على الهاء على الحرف الأخير في الكلمة right it's because there's a kasra on the last letter of the word just like with any word right if we said in Arabic كيف تقول هذه الجملة الإمام ما الإعراب الإمام فيما في المسجد الحرف الأخير right it's going to تحمل العلامة جار it's going to carry the sign of being مجرور so when this حرف جار is here ننظر علامتها right على الحرف الأخير right so when you have a حرف جار we see the sign of its ma'thur of its impact or of its influence is going to be what on the last letter of the word so likewise when we say lillah we have harf li wal ism Allah bit tajmi' we bring them together so the word Allah is governed by the harf jar and so therefore the last letter in Allah is what what's the last letter in the word Allah the ha so therefore if it's governed by the harf jar you're going to see the sigha or the voicing of that is going to be on the last letter just like right al-imamu fil masjidi بسبب الحرف جار في وكذلك في لله أليس كذلك فهمتم right does this make sense okay تمام okay so كانت لي and so we said before last week why do we say كانت لي versus كانت تجربة لي or لي كانت تجربة or كنت لدي تجربة why do we put this li in between the two of them what was the explanation that we gave I'll let Ruh explain because he had the question he was like man this is some nonsense man why we got to put this in between the two of them
if I remember correctly it has to do with balagha stylistics
uslub particularly balagha so balagha this is a good one we hear the word balagha all the time what does balagha though really mean
the rhyming of the word
Not exactly. Balagha really means embellishment and emphasis and going to great lengths. So Arabic is known to be a kind of over-the-top language. And so what is one of the characteristics of Jahili poetry? What do the Jahili poets do in their pre-Islamic so-called poetry of the time of ignorance? What are they known for? Exaggeration. Because what do? They talk about how many women they got how many horses they got, how many people they beat in battle, how tough their tribe is, how much they're gonna kick you down the road, all this stuff. It's like a ancient antediluvian rap battle, right? So balagha is more along those lines. But we're talking about, in terms of how the sentence is constructed, that's what we mentioned the word uslub. Like there's a style to where you do it, right? So for instance, in English, if I want to say, I went to the store and Dawood went to the store and we went together, how would I say that in English? Well, what if I wanted to mention both of us? Me and Dawood? هذا صحيح؟ نحويا بالإنجليزية?
Yes.
Get out of my class, man. No, and that's exactly the point. I understood you, but is it correct? Right? It's not correct. So this is what I mean by uslub. You could rearrange some of this in a different way, and a native speaker of Arabic will go, I understood, فهمت عليك, ولكن خطأت. Right? I understood what you said, but you made a mistake. So, uslub is also dealing with how we particularly place things in that reflect the kind of the nativeness of the language. How are things done in Arabic? So, in our example, we said, what if Dawood and I went to the store, and I wanted to say that in English, I would say what? Dawood and I went to the store. So I would put Dawood first, then myself. But in Arabic, if I wanted to say Dawood and I went to the store, spoiler alert, what am I going to do in Arabic? Right? So in English, it's Dawood and I, right, went to the store. And this is for English. In Arabic, spoiler alert, what am I going to do with the word order? I, right, and Dawood went to the store. So in Arabic, I'm going to say exactly what? Yeah. أنا وداود ذهبنا, right, إلى السوق. Dawood and I, we went to the store, right? But in English, we would not say this. We say, I and Dawood, me and Dawood, went to the store. So again, there are differences in style between Arabic and English. In Arabic, we like to put the person that is talking first, and then we put the other people involved in that second. In English, we like to do it exactly the opposite. And then when there are occasions in Arabic where you would say, for instance, how do we read that in Arabic? Sorry. Wati. Wal-arda. Right. So we would say, خلق الله السماوات والأرض. And therefore, we're going to put the verb first, then the subject of that verb second. That's the conventional sense. What is the meaning of this sentence? Allah created the heavens and the earth. And so this is just a general statement. But this is where you can have a conjoining. Right? هناك تجميع بين الأسلوب والبلاغة. Now I'm going to say Allah who خلق السماوات والأرض. If this is now a kind of balagha, what do we say? Balagha was like what? Exaggeration, emphasis, يعني تأكيد. يعني أليس المعنى سوا? Right? من جهة عامية, from a general perspective, don't these kind of mean the same thing? ولكن في وحدهما تأكيد. However, only one of them is emphasizing something special. What do you think is being emphasized when we put Allah first versus second in the word order here? You're emphasizing Allah. So in some ways, we have the subject. The subject is about Allah. And then we have the khabar, we have the predicate, right? And the direct object of that action, the heavens and the earth being created. But now, we want to place the emphasis that it is Allah and only Allah that created the heavens and the earth. Because maybe I'm trying to refute an argument, or I'm trying to make a point versus just giving a statement. So there will be verses in the Quran where the word order will be switched, where you have the noun first, then the verb, versus the verb, then the noun, then the emphasis is on the fa'il. And secondarily, the action that is being done. Allahu khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard. It is Allah, in parentheses, and only Allah that is responsible for the creation of the heavens and the earth. So هذا تجميع بين أسلوب والبلاغة. ولكن للجملة الأولى أسلوب فقط. Right? For the first sentence, it's just normal like grammar, right? Not to imply that this isn't normal grammar, it's just that conventionally, this is generally how we like to do. So if I were to reverse this in Arabic, Dawood wa ana dhahabna ila suq. What do you think is the emphasis on? Yeah, it's like I went with Dawood to the store. So the significant one in the first one, أنا وداود ذهبنا إلى السوق. Well, we went to the store. And so it's just a normal statement. But if I wanted to be like, no, if the cop asked me, hey, where were you at 3 o'clock? No. داود وأنا ذهبنا إلى السوق. No, I got an alibi. I went to the store with Dawood. All right, so now I'm placing the emphasis on the person that I'm going with versus the emphasis on the place that we went to. Right? So I'm just saying, when you read in Quran, pay attention when you see the word ordering. If you see a verb and a noun, then the emphasis will be on what is the action and on what is being done, the creation of the heavens and earth. If you see it reversed, then it's the actor that we want to emphasize. It's not that what's done is not important, but it's secondary into. So it's like putting this in all caps and then this in lowercase. Allah is the one and the only one that created the heavens and the earth. Okay.
That's one.
Oh yeah, no, I mean there's you could fill up this room with the books written on balagha. But I'm just saying, just to give a quick example, like what is balagha about? Balagha gets mistranslated as like being eloquent. That's not just, no. Balagha is really more about types of exaggeration and emphasis. And so I'll give you the example. Are you familiar with the verse in Surah al-Ahzab where Allah says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Undoubtedly, in the Messenger of Allah, there's an excellent example for you, right? لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَيَوْمَ الْآخِرَةَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. And then the next verse says what? وَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ. When the believers saw the enemy, the Ahzab, قَالُوا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. This is what Allah promised us and what the Messenger promised us. وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. And how truthful was Allah and the Messenger. Then Allah says, وَمَا زَادَ وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا شَيْئًا. الأول إيمانا. Right? تنوين فتحة وتسليما. Right? This is like adding a level of emphasis. وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. And then likewise later on where Allah Ta'ala says, مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَهَدَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. There are some of those that pledged themselves to Allah and they were truthful in their pledge. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ. And some of them, they gave their life on the battlefield in that pledge to make jihad. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. And some of them are still waiting to do so. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. تبديلا. بدل تبديل. بدل الفعل. The noun that comes from it, تبديل. Right? So for instance, what is another verb that is on the form of فعل? So you have, for instance, like درس. درس وتدريس. And علمه البيان. علم وتعليم. Right? So this is just the form. You have فعل تفعيل. So بدل تبديل. درس تدريس. علم تعليم. And you probably have heard the word ta'lim at least before, right? When you take the verb, doesn't matter whether it's present tense, past tense, singular, plural, and then you pair it with its corresponding noun that comes from it, that is nasab, that is mansoob. So baddala tabadilan. You could just say wama baddalu, right? In that some of them gave their lives and some of them are waiting to do so, and regardless of those circumstances, they haven't changed. So baddala, al-ma'ana al-fi'l baddala, to change. They didn't waver, they didn't change. That's the meaning of baddala. You could just have that, wama baddalu, and they didn't waver, they didn't change. But for balagha, for what? For emphasis, Allah will say, what? وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبَدِيلًا. And so you will find this pattern throughout the Quran in many ayat, where you will have the verb and its corresponding noun, mansoob. So you will have, it's like saying, فَعَلُوا تَفْعِيلًا, عَلَّمُوا تَعْلِيمًا, دَرَّسُوا تَدْرِيسًا. Like if you want to really emphasize and exaggerate Allah's emphasizing and testifying to the iman of the believers that had to go and fight the kuffar on the battlefield, and some of them gave up their lives in doing so. So it's a testimony to their iman, to their bravery, and so on. So Allah Ta'ala is bragging, so to speak. He is throwing down the gauntlet to the kuffar and letting them know, my believers, when they really follow the sunnah, when they have taken the uswa of my messenger that gives them hope in me and in the last day, and they remember me frequently, no matter what challenge they face, even if it were to be life and death, they line up equally. Some have given their life, some are waiting to do so, and they don't waver. And it's this part here, the tabadilan, is like putting the words don't waver in like bold, italic, and underlined. That's what that's what, when we begin to talk about balagha, which we will do later on. But that's just an example for you to understand. When you hear this word, it doesn't mean just to be eloquent. It is, but it's also more specifically used to emphasize, to brag, to, throw down the gauntlet.
So I understand in that. But my question is, I'm trying to understand it, like as I read it, right? It almost appears redundant.
It is a form of redundancy, right? Because when you want to, like in Arabic, to eloquently be redundant, which is to emphasize, you then formulate the noun based upon the verb, but then it is mansub. It's exactly what you said, to be redundant, but for the purpose of what? Ta'keed, for the purpose of emphasizing. So you're not being redundant or like, hey, I don't want you to forget. No. You will never forget because I'm going to put this in such a way, right? The redundancy is there for the purpose of emphasis.
In regards to its meaning, with respect to how we would translate this, right? If I was to literally write this out from Arabic to English, right, there wouldn't be redundancy in what I'm writing. It would be maybe boldened.
Well, when I say bold, italicized, underline, I'm actually now being right. I'm being hyperbolic, right? I'm exaggerating. But
that gives the indicators of emphasis.
Right. So that gives you like a little bit of a visual thing to help to visualize the meaning. But if you want to now talk about tarjama, about translation, no. In order to, again, we said the meaning of baddala means what? Right. Baddala, yani ghayyara, right, to change, taghayyara, to change or to alter in some way. And so if we already have the meaning of wama baddalu, so now in particular, this is what? Past tense plural, masculine. It can include some women as well, but there's at least one dude in that group. So generally it's going to be what? Ma baddalu. I'm just going to write the wow on here for now. The literal meaning here is what? They, because of the ma here, they didn't change or waver. Now, we're not done yet because we got one more word to deal with. At all. One iota. ... No, what I'm saying, so like in order to incorporate this tabadilan into your translation, you're going to have to break out of kalima bi kalima, word by word translation. You're going to need to embellish, which is actually keeping in line, which what this is embellishment. So in order for your translation to be authentic, when you see that combination of fa'ala, fi'lan, like when you see the combination of the verb and its verbal noun together, but the verbal noun is mansub, it is what? It is going to be, in this case, like taf'ilan, because that's the form of the verbal noun from this verb. When you see that, when you're thinking in English, okay, I need to find a way to translate this, that of course keeps true to the general meaning, but I'm going to have to add some extra words to convey the redundancy and the emphasis, right? So they didn't change or waver whatsoever at all, one iota, ... something that will convey this second word here, because you don't want to say, and they didn't change changing. Like that just doesn't make any sense, right? So you want to, and again, this is where also you have, as I said, the tajmi' bayn al-balagha wal-uslub. This is where you have a kind of coming together of balagha and stylistics, aesthetics, uslub, especially when we get to translation, trying to make it make sense. Okay, let me just check make sure nobody had any, okay, good. All right, so now our next sentence.
Can we stay on that one for a minute?
All right, 1 minute.
So I'm not clear. I understand why we put the and
Oh, yes, let's go back. So, كانت,
or uslub.
well, we'll show, no, well, I mean, it is due to uslub and nahu and grammar. And we'll talk about why. So, كانت لي تجربة. Let's just deal with that, because the rest of it is superfluous. Okay, so كانت لي تجربة. I had an experience. In English, we would say just that. I had an experience. But then let's go, and this shows how, again, kalima bi kalima tarjama, right? Word by word translations don't tend to work very well. So كانت, ما معنى كانت? It or she was. Li. What is the meaning of li? Mine. Let's just say mine. Tajriba. Experience. Okay, read this sentence.
It was my experience.
Okay, you need to go see your doctor because you have a closed head injury. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, right? So to show how the mechanics work somewhat different in Arabic and English, let's look at the first off. The first word in English is what? No. I. The first word in Arabic is what? Let's just get rid of she for now, since we know that tajriba is a thing. The first word in Arabic is what? It. Wait a minute. Right? So this goes to show you a very mechanical difference. If I want to talk about having an experience, first I need to situate when or where it took place. In English, we will get to that, but it comes secondary. Had. Had is what? Past tense. So in Arabic, though, we say first, we said before in our example of what خَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, what did we have? We had a verb noun agreement in terms of number one is the verb and number two is the noun, right? That's like, for instance, خَلَقَ Allah as-samawati wal-ard. So if we just remove the word li for a minute, we have a verb and we have the noun, right? This noun is acting on behalf of this verb. How do we know? What are indicators here that this is the verb that is acting on behalf of this noun? Where do you see where the agreements are? Right. Is this masculine or feminine? Is this masculine or feminine? So either this would be كانت لي تجربة, which would be like, I had her experience. that sounds weird, right? And even then that would be like not truthfully an accurate translation. But so that makes no sense. What does make sense is that this verb is acting on behalf of this noun, and I can see the gender agreement. كانت في صيغة مؤنث وتجربة اسم في صيغة مؤنث. كانت تجربة. So now, in between the two of them, I have this li. So in Arabic, I need to insert myself in between, or whoever. I could say, for instance, how would you say that? How do you say we in the past? I'll help you out. Right? Because kunna is what? Right? Kunna is just kana, but conjugated. So what we do is we chop off a few things and we get kunna. Okay, tamam. Kunna ma? Kunna. What is the second word? Not lina, close. Lana. So kunna lana tajriba fil amal al-jadid. We had a beneficial, what? Tajriba mufida, right? We had. So it would be kunna. I'm sorry, actually. Kanat. Sorry, kanat. I can't type today. Right, kanat. Sorry. This is true, but that's not what that is, right? Because we still have to keep the agreements, right? So, كانت لنا تجربة مفيدة في العمل الجديد. We had a beneficial experience. What's the difference between كانت لي and كانت لنا? لنا is what? نحن. What if I wanted to say she had a beneficial experience? كانت لها. What about for him? What about for them? What about for them but only two? Oh man, see, now y'all getting grown. Okay, see? Right? كانت لنا, كانت لي, كانت لها, كانت له, كانت لهم, كانت لكم, كانت لكما, كانت لهما تجربة مفيدة في العمل الجديد. So the reason why this always is كانت and this is tajriba, because this verb is acting upon or at the behest of this noun. Right? So these have to be in agreement. Let's say, let's change the word in its gender so we can see. What if I had kana or kanat? Kanat li. We'll shorten the sentence for the sake of argument. Okay. What is this word? Allah talks about it in the Quran. Liqa. What's liqa in the Quran? On the day of judgment, when we all go back to Allah, what do we have with Him? We have a liqa. We translate this as a meeting, which is fine, but just know that the meeting you have with your boss ain't like the meeting you're going to have with Allah Ta'ala. But liqa. So if I wanted to say, I had a meeting at work, right? Kana li liqa. Liqa'un fil amal. Why is it kana li? Why is it kana and not kanat? Liqa, masculine. Therefore, the verb that's going to act on its behalf has to be masculine. Right? So that's why this is feminine, because this is feminine. So the style is verb, pronoun with a possessive, and then the noun, and then something about it. Right? كان لنا لقاء في المسجد. We had a meeting at the masjid. كان لنا لقاء غير مفيد في المسجد. We had a meeting at the masjid that was not beneficial. So the style is verb and noun agreement with the possessive here in the middle, the harf and its damir. Harf li, possessed, owned, right? Somebody has to have this experience. Somebody has to have the meeting. So that's what the harf li, when we say possession, it's given it to somebody. Somebody's taking possession of it. Somebody will have the meeting. Somebody will have the experience. Make sense? Okay. All right. Number 2. Let's try to do these rapid fire. Let's see. What do we got? We got bi'tul kitab. Suppose I should actually let you guys sound it. So we got this, and then tab. بثمن. Okay. Ruh, what do we got here? Bi'tu. نعم. Great. Bi'tu. Right. So it is what from our list? Ba'a. Making it first person. We said, unfortunately, there's not a formula that just goes straight across the board. So for instance, قال قلت. He said, I said. قال قلت. ولكن باع, he sold. If I want to say I did it, then it becomes بعت مع كسرة على الباء. Right? So these are things you'll just have to memorize as you go. There's not like a specific, oh, if it has this letter, this or that. No, it's just, this one will take a little bit of rote memorization. So bi'atul kitab, the kitab is what is being sold, so it receives the action. Li, ma ma'na li, wa ma huwa? Right, but what is li? Like, what is its function in the sentence? Good. All right. Li sadiqi. So that is also the ya in sadiqi. We call this what? Very good. Ya nafsi. B, thamanin. Thaman. Ma huwa thaman?
Price?
Yeah. So we said, you have the word thamaniya. Ma ma'na thamaniya? Right. So you have the word thaman and then thuman. This is literally the number 8. Thuman is 1/8. and therefore you can think of a thaman, ma'a fatha, thaman, is related to the idea of something being eighth, right? But it also conveys something, either a price, but it can also mean something small. Allah says to Bani Israel, tashtari, right? Ayati thamanan qalilan. Don't sell my ayat. Don't sell my signs, my verses for what? Thamanan qalilan. For not for a low price, but really like don't sell them at all. Don't sell them for, you're talking about the verses of God, right? You're talking about holy revelation, and yet you want to make money off of people and belittle the significance of them for just trading them for a few coins, right? So it is related to this idea of an eighth, right? A small thing. But in the majali ishtira, like in the field of buying and selling, thaman, then it refers to, like, it can refer to a price. So بعت الكتابة لصديقي بثمن مناسب. مناسب شو؟ ما معنى مناسب؟
Reasonable.
Reasonable. So ثمن مناسب would be what?
Reasonable price.
A reasonable price. Okay.
What is the Lisa?
What do you think it is? I mean, is li sadiqi one word, or does it look like a compound word?
It's Li and then Sadiq.
So what do you think sadiqi is? What is sadiq?
Like truth.
No, that's sidq or siddiq. Sadiq. Think in a more common term. What's a common term? Like anta sadiqi.
Oh.
No.
Friend?
Ana tawil.
Thank you.
Companion?
Right?
Like a companion?
A friend.
Friend?
Well, y'all ain't gonna make it on Wheel of Fortune. Sadiq, friend. Siddiq is somebody who is truthful, honest, right? And sidq is truthfulness. Sadiq is friend. So, right? بعت الكتاب لي. ما معنى لي? Ishaq, what's the meaning of li?
In this case, like 2 or 4.
Right. So I sold the book li sadiqi. Remember, ya nafsi? Yeah. Right? بثمن مناسب. Okay. Rob, what do we got?
أبد نفسي إلى خضوعي بعد صلاتي.
Okay. ثاب, ما معنى ثاب?
Relaxed.
Well, not quite. That would be hudu. But thaba, because you said relaxed. The issue is thaba is a fi'l. Walakin relaxed is ism, technically sifa, right? So it's not relaxed. Thaba is what?
I know we talked.
That's thabat.
To return.
Thabata is to be firm. But this is thabat. Remember, these are ajwaf. So technically we're dealing with what? Right? You're thinking of, right? You're thinking of thabata, which is to be firm, but that's not it. This is thaba. And so the ta on the end of thabat is what?
It's a feminine.
Feminine conjugation, past tense, it or something, right? Thabat. But what is the meaning of thaba?
So is it to return?
Yeah. So I said, right? Thaba bima'ana raja'a. You guys know the word raja'a? to go back to. Or like tawbah is from taba. Taba means what? Technically. We know tawbah means repentance, but technically what does taba mean? To go back to turn back. So, يعني ثابة بمعنى رجع أو تاب أو something like this, right? So, something went back. What went back? In fact, something feminine went back. ثابت شو؟ نفسي. النفسي مذكر أو مؤنث. Yeah, even though ما فيش علامة, right, of al-ithna, there's no sign of femininity. We said there are some words in Arabic that are feminine, though they don't have the ta'un marbuta, like shams. Nafs is like that. Ya ayyuhat an-nafs al-mutma'inna. Like in the end of Surah Al-Fajr, Allah talks about the nafs mutma'inna, ma'a ta'un marbuta. Right? Nafs mutma'innatun. So, the reason why it's feminine, nafs itself is feminine. But it's not just any nafs. Which nafs? My nafs. So, thabat nafsi. So, my soul went back to, or returned to, or reset, if whatever you want. Ila ma? Ila al-hudu. Ila al-hudu. Ma ma'ana hudu?
Relaxation or
Do you know the word tarwiha? Do you know this word? What's the second one? Not tarawih. Right? Not tarawih. Tarawih. So when you come in Ramadan, in the evening, what are you praying? Salatul, right? Salatul tarawih. Not, what do they say? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Tarawih, yeah, tarawih. Right? You guys are saying it like tarawih. Right? That is how you guys are saying it. And this is how it's actually pronounced. Right? It's going to be pronounced actually ta ra we. Right? Tarawih. Now, this word, as you can guess, is probably what? This is jama'. And this is nakira. So that's the singular. Tarawih is simply the plural of tarwiha. ما معنى ترويحة؟ ترويحة بمعنى هدوء. ما معنى هدوء? What did you say هدوء is? Yeah, right. So the meaning of tarwiha, of at-tarawih, comes from the jadhar, the root of what? What do you see there that stands out? Another word you know very well. Well, he's sitting right there. Ruh. Right? Ruh. It comes from the root of ruh. Right? So, there is a connection between having a sense of itma'inna, of sakina, of tarwiha, right, in this word. When we say to relax or to feel comfort or to stress relief, whatever, right, this is our soul, ultimately. All this is the hardware that rides on, right, the soul. وَنَفَخَ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِهِ. Allah says what? And He blew His soul into. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِهِ. We blew into Adam, right, our ruh, to animate, bring him to life, right? That's how Adam came to life. Allah Ta'ala breathed into him. So, anything that's associated with the dhikr of Allah is going to bring us what? أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. We know the famous verse in Surah Al-Ra'd. Our hearts not finding tranquility by any other way than the remembrance of Allah. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. So the right? There is something about our ruh that when we remember Allah. So, ثابت نفسي إلى الهدوء ما بعد ظرف زمان بعد ما الصلاة. So what's the meaning of the sentence?
Basically, I relaxed after prayer.
Right. Or a bit more emphasis to include the nafsi. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that sounds a little bit much. So yeah, I chilled out, or I found comfort, I found relaxation after I prayed. After prayer. ثابت نفسي إلى الهدوء بعد الصلاة. Okay, Ishaq.
قلت للحارس
Mm-hmm. No, أنا. What's there on the noon? Mm-hmm. Very good. Not boo. Mm-hmm. فتحة با. Right. أن البوابة شو? Mm-hmm. Because of the أن, it's going to make the following word be mansoob. So the تاء المربوطة is going to be what? مفتوحة. So أن البوابة. What is it? Right. So I'm saying, how would you say that? Right. أن البوابة تا. أن البوابة تا. Right? And then, yes, you said, what's the final word? مفتوحة. Right. مفتوحة. مفتوحة. What tarjama? What's the translation? The word for translation is tarjama. Tarjama.
I said
للحارس.
I don't know.
What is li? What is the li? I said, just translate the li in للحارس.
I said with.
Not with, but do you say something with somebody or do you say something? There you go. So I said to the حارس. ما معنى حارس? Right, we have a word. Have you heard of the word hirasa? You ever heard of the word hirasa? Like if you have a dog, like in Islam, generally we agree the dog should not be in the house. But you can keep it outside the house for what purpose? Hirasa, guarding, right? So hirasa is like guarding, ing. Well, if that's associated with something, then a haris is the one who harasa. He's the one that is a guard, right? So قلت للحارس.
I said to the guard. I said to the guard.
Anna. How do we translate anna? No, that's ana. Anna, that. That. So أن البوابة ما معنى بوابة؟ بوابة. ما هي بوابة؟ See if you can find the pattern in there that invokes another word. Yeah, okay, great. So we have the word bab. Bab is what? Door. What is a common plural of bab? Abawab. You might have heard, like the Abawab of Jannah, the gates of Jannah. But there's another plural. Bawaba. And this can be a plural, or it could also refer to what we might call like a gate. So, bawaba. Well, no. I said to the guard that the gate or that the doors are what? Really? Maftuha means locked? Boy, I tell you, man, y'all ain't gonna make it, bro. I'm just trying to tell y'all ain't gonna make it, man. Right? Because fataha is associated with what?
Opening.
Do you see the root there? What's the general meaning associated with fatha and ha? Opening, right? So what? The abawab are what?
Open.
Yeah, opened, or just how would we say open, right? I told the guard that the door or the gate is open. Okay. Okay. What is our next one here? So I gave you that one. We'll come back to this one later. As we say, there's an wa akhawatuha. There's an and all of its sisters. So you have an and anna. You have in and inna. They have their various uses and functions, and we'll cover those a little bit later. But that's why I just gave you that. Anna, right? أن الله على كل شيء قدير. Right? وقالوا أن الله على كل شيء قدير. قالوا ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا. Right? واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. And they said to Allah, "Oh Allah, perfect and complete our light and forgive us. Verily, you are capable of all things. Inna, anna." Right? We'll cover those a little bit as we go. Okay. Daoud.
Ready?
Yep.
Mina ala sifati anadama Samiyatu Sawata al-Aradi.
Very good. So, khiftu, very good. Khiftu bima'na ma. What does khiftu mean? What is khawf?
Oh, fear.
So, khiftu as a verb would be what? Ana khiftu. Or past tense, I feared or I became afraid, right? من العاصفة. ما معنى عاصفة؟ العاصفة. عاصفة is a storm. So خفت من العاصفة عندما. عندما means generally you could just put when. عندما, when. What did you say this word, the next word after عندما? Right, سمعت. Which means what? سمع الله لمن حمده. Allah listens, Allah hears whoever praises Him. So I heard, right? عندما سمعت. I became afraid of the storm when
I heard.
There you go. What did you hear?
The wind.
Not the, that would be riha,
Oh.
but close.
Like thunder.
Well, not just, yes. Ar-ra'ad is thunder, but the sound of the ra'ad. The sound of the thunder. Right. So سمعت, right? عندما سمعت صوت الرعد. Right? Because sauta, because it's receiving the action of being heard. Right? And then this, what kind of word is this? Yes. So this is right, ism and an ism, noun and a noun, mudaf, mudaf ilayh. Right? So, very good. Yeah. خفت من العاصفة عندما سمعت صوت الرعد. عندما سمعت صوت الرعد. I became scared. Right? So that's the thing. See, now we associate khafa with fear. But in English, I feared the storm. Okay, Shakespeare, hold up. Right? Just take it easy. Right? I became scared. Right? You can say, "Oh, Romeo, where art thou?" if you want to, or you can just kind of put it into plain English, like I became scared when I heard the sound of the thunder. أنا خفت من العاصفة عندما سمعت صوت الرعد. Good. All right. Back down to ruh. Mud. So muttu. Mm-hmm. Very good. And a tarjama? From شدة التعب. شدة. Okay. Do we know the word shadid?
Strong.
Or?
Intense.
Yeah. Very good. So من شدة التعب. Have you ever heard somebody say أنا تعبان? تعبان.
Tired.
Yeah. So تعبان is like I'm tired. But what من شدة التعب?
Okay.
What is تعب?
It's exhaustion.
Very good. Exhaustion. بعد ما?
But
After what?
a long day.
Exactly. اليوم الطويل. So here's a little thing. Did you, if you died after extreme fatigue after a long day, how did you write this sentence? So this is,
It's balagh.
it's a little balagha, it's a little exaggeration, right? Otherwise, you are in on some secret that we would all like to know. How'd you do that? Right? So, muttu. Once again, these are just things you'll have to memorize. So we have mata. ما معنى مات حرفيا? What does literally mata mean? No, حرفيا. Exactly what does it mean? He died. Right. So mata, matat, she died, on and on. Right. So أنا مت. مت, I died. So mata to first person mutu. We said what? قال قلت. باع بعت. So even though these are all what? Ajwaf, these are all hollow verb, you can clearly see they will have some different inflections. And again, there's nothing formulaic about this. It just will take some rote memorization. So, muttu min shiddati at-ta'abi ba'da al-yawm at-tawili. I died from exhaustion after a long day.
Is there a shudda there over the?
Yeah, shiddati. Right, there's a shadda on the dal. All right. All right, Rob, what do we got? Okay. Wait. Qumtu. Yes. What's the second word? Mubakiran. Yep. So qumtu. What is qumtu? We know maybe more familiar. Qama. What does qama mean? To get up. Right, to get up, to rise. Now, as it relates to getting up in the morning, there's also there's istayqadha. Istayqadha. Istayqadha means literally to wake up in the morning. But you can also use qama as well, because it does mean literally to get up. So what? Qumtu, I got up, but I got up in some kind of special way. Right. Mubakkiran. Mubakkiran. I got up early. So qumtu mubakkiran, what? Lima? Right. Well, ada is interesting. It can mean something like to or for the function of something. So ada, right, is like we say, like an ada is like an instrument, because it has a purpose to do something, right? Like a dental instrument, medical instrument, that kind of thing, right? We call this adatun. So ada, right? قمت مبكرا لأداء صلاة الفجر. I got up for what? But we want to include ada in our translation. Yeah, great. In order to pray Fajr. Perfect. Yep. قمت مبكرا لأداء صلاة الفجر. I got up in order to, early, in order to pray Fajr. Oh, right there. Okay. Ishaq. Not ni'mah. Very good. Not tahata, but close. Yes, tahta. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, think about, like, there's a big desert we all know in English. What do we call it? Except it's actually pronounced. Put a sukun on the ha. So the Sahara is actually Sahara, right? So nimtu. Nimtu is, we're more perhaps familiar with what? Nama. Nama means what? He slept. So if I want to say I slept, I say what? Nimtu. Nimtu tahta. What's tahta? Right. What's the opposite of tahta?
Over.
Good. So what is that in Arabic? That would be on top of. But good. Close would be ala. But we want to think more of what? Fawqa. Right? So tahta, fawqa. Those would be used as opposites of one another. Tahta, fawqa. Right? So مثلا هاتفك فوق الطاولة, or هاتفك على الطاولة. Like your phone is on the table. I could say tahta, I could say fawqa or ala. But I could say, for instance, كيسك, your bag, كيسك تحت الطاولة. Your bag is underneath the table, right? Okay, so نمت تحت السماء الصافية. صافية comes from what? صفاء, clear, clean, right? Clear in particular, because I slept underneath the clean sky. Okay. I'm not going to contradict that, but that's a weird way of saying it. We would much prefer to say underneath a clear sky, right? It's a clear blue sky. Do we say it's a clean blue sky? Right? It just sounds odd. We would know what you're saying, but at the same time, we would know, like, you don't speak English very well, right? Right? So, نمت تحت السماء الصافية, right? في الصحراء. I slept underneath the clear sky in the desert. صح, صحراء, Sahra'i. Right, exactly. Okay.
Sumtu
Mm-hmm.
Ramadan.
What not what Rama?
Ramadan. No, Ramadan.
But what word is that? What month is
Ramadan.
what's coming up? You slept at the Ramada Inn?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You slept at the Ramada Inn. I stayed at the Hilton.
Sumtu Ramadan.
No, what this is the month of Sha'ban. What is next month?
Well, Ramadan, but there's a Ramadan. Is there a well, I see the noon, but it's pretty.
There's a right, so Ramadana.
Ramadana. Ramadana. Yeah. Kama. Lihi. Hada. Al-Ami.
Okay. So Sumtu is from Sama. What does Sama mean? To fast. What did you fast?
Fast Ramadan.
Or more importantly, I fasted because it's past tense. So Ramadan is going to receive the action of being fasted, and that's why it is what? Sumtu Ramadana. It's going to receive the action of it. What? Bi, harf jar, bi akmalihi. When something is kamil, what is kamil? Or akmal. What is when something is kamil? It's what? Complete. So, or something in its entirety. هذه العام. What is the meaning? Am is like also. What's sana? Not sunnah, but sana. A year. A synonym for year in Arabic is what? Am. You'll often hear people, when it's Eid, they will say, كل عام وأنتم بخير. You know, may each of you be well every year, right? So, صمت رمضان بأكمله هذا العام. I fasted the entire month of Ramadan this year. صمت رمضان بأكمله. أكمل رمضان هذا العام. هذه السنة. Good. All right, last one, we'll go back to Ruh. All right. في شهر رجب. Okay, great. And so زدت بمعنى what? زاد. ما معنى زاد؟
Zada yani he increased Zittu.
Or زدت.
I increased.
Right. من قراءة. ما معنى قراءة؟
Recite.
To read or to recite, right? And then we have this ya on the end of قراءة.
By recitation.
Right. وهو?
Yeah, nas.
Very good. للقرآن.
Of the Quran.
Yep. في
In the month of Rajab.
شهر رجب. تمام. والترجمة؟
I increased my recitation of the Quran in the month of Rajab.
تمام. Great. All right. So hopefully those will make a little bit more sense to you now.
So that men after zittu,
Yeah.
zittu min.
Yeah.
What implication does min have on the sentence? Because when we translate, I'm not hearing, not that it has to be word for word.
Yeah. No. It's a good question. So, zid tu min qira'ati dot. Okay. So we have in between here our min, which we say, like where does this show up or what? Okay. So let's just translate this phrase into English. Zittu bima'na. What does it mean, zittu? I increased. What did I increase? Min qira'ati. Just how would you say what are you thinking right now? I increased?
From our recitation.
Okay. From my, let's put right now reading recitation, right? Does that say, would you say that to somebody in English? I increased from my recitation. Okay, Thanos. Right? That doesn't sound right in English. What would you just say?
I increased in my recitation.
Okay, so we've gone to Thanos to Hamlet, right? We're not getting anywhere. That doesn't, I increased in my reading? That sounds weird. How would you just say it in English?
Increase from reading.
You would not say that. I know you would not say that. You're only saying it now because you're thinking about it. You're trying to be clever. What would you just say in English? I feel like Sam Kinison. Say it! You know, what would you, just take out this word, take this out and just read this. What would you say?
I increased my reading.
There you go. I increased my reading.
So it's not something that affected me.
Well, it did affect you because you weren't doing as much before because you were a lazy bum and so you had to increase, right? No.
No, but he in this case it's saying I've done more reading.
Yeah, you guys are thinking too hard.
Well, yeah, but in this case it's saying I'm doing more reading. In other words, I increased my reading. I'm doing more reading, but there's not we haven't said I've benefited from my reading.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh no. See, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, this is, see, if you,
See that implication?
no,
Min?
no.
So then what is the min though?
See, you're getting too clever, man. All right, here's how it works.
Give me the preposition.
Right. The word min is not going to reflect in our English translation. Why? What's that magical little word we've all been using today? But what am I? I'm not emphasizing anything. I'm not.
No.
Uslub. It's just a stylistic, right? So for instance, I could say in Arabic, so شربت من القهوة قهوة I can't write today, right? I need some coffee. من القهوة, right? So what? شرب means what? To drink. أنا شربت is I drank. So شربت من القهوة مع أصدقائي. أصدقاء جمع صديق بالترجمة إلى الإنجليزية friend. أصدقاء great. So شربت من القهوة مع أصدقائي. I drank coffee with my friends. Do I say I drank from the coffee with my friends? If you say that, you are not my friend anymore. I just want you to, this is why you ain't got, this is why, no, أنت شربت بنفسك, okay? You drank by yourself because you ain't got no friends because you talk like a weirdo. Right? So, أنت شربت بنفسك. أنا شربت من القهوة, right, مع أصدقائي. I drank coffee with my friends. what we do like to say as a grammatical stylistic in Arabic, like you could also use the word like akala. Akala min al-maqluba. What does this mean? What is maqluba?
The food?
Right? Maqluba, right? Free Palestine. Okay, so akala bima'ana harfiyan. What does akala mean literally? No, literally. He ate. What did he eat? He ate maqluba. If I removed the min.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, don't worry. Nobody does. So if I say this same sentence or these same sentences and I remove the min, what would be the implication? Right?
One is an instruction.
No. Right? He ate maqluba. Or, if I remove them in, he ate all the maqluba. If I remove it, then we have to actually add a word. If I say akal al-maqluba, it's like saying akal al-maqluba kullaha. Right? If I don't put that min in there, it implies that he and only he ate it and he ate it all. Or I drank coffee, but I didn't drink all of the coffee. I had some coffee. That's what we say, like, in English. I had some coffee with my friends. Now, when we say, oh, I went and had coffee with Ruh, I'm not saying like, well, I had 8 ounces. I don't have to say that. That's like ridiculous, right? I had some coffee with some friends. It just means that you had some indefinite amount of coffee. It's a casual way of speaking. So in Arabic, we like to say min to imply that you partook in something, particularly eating, drinking, right, that kind of thing, but also that maybe you didn't do all of it. And so when we have the word min, we can just say the sentence straight away. So, akala min maqluba, he ate some maqluba, or he ate the maqluba, or he ate maqluba. We would just say he ate pizza, he ate maqluba, he ate sushi, right? Akala sushi, akala min sushi, he ate sushi. But if you remove it, then it implies that you ate all of it.
So this is implying some of.
It's implying some of. So like you could say like what in the other sentence, what شربت من القهوة مع أصدقائي. I had some coffee with friends. I drank some coffee with friends. Some coffee. This is how we do speak in English. It's like a casual sentence.
We could say I increased some of my reading.
I mean, you could. I'm giving it to you. It's just something you need to put in. It's just a stylistic that's there. As I said, it's not often going to reflect in the English translation. But if you said, for instance, zittu qira'ati, then it's like, I've maxed out, right? Like 550, raw bench, no belt, I'm on trend, I'm on Deca, everything, right? Just no raps, no nothing. So I'm saying this is how we like to speak, and in particular in formal Arabic, because we're trying to learn formal Arabic, right? Now you might say like, zit qira'ati, you might, I'm probably sure like an Ami or like casual speech, most Arabs are not going to say this, or they might or they might not, but it could be dropped out in casual speech. But in formal language, that's how we like to speak, right? Zit min qira'ati. And you'll find this in the Quran as well, min in between something that gives, takes, receives, that kind of thing, right? So, as I said, getting trapped into word by word translations, again, that's how we have to start off. This word means this and this word means that. But as you progress, you want to learn to not just translate the word, but the sentence or the phrase. And so you're going to make choices at the same time that will make that natively feel comfortable and make sense in English, right?
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily that I'm looking for, when we do the translate. How do you say translation? One more time.
ترجمة.
Arjun.
ترجمة. 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 All right.
So saying it's not that like when we do the tarjuma that I'm looking for men from to be someplace in the English translation. I'm just trying to understand the implications of its presence.
Right now, so right now, you're trying to do all this frontal lobe thinking about it because it's new to you. In time, you will just gain a level of familiarity like a reflex, and you'll learn more naturally as time goes on how to make those selections and those choices, particularly as you read more in Arabic and then more in English, and you'll begin to kind of get a feel how these two languages talk back and forth to each other, right? But right now, it's just so new that you're kind of like, I need this word to show up in this sentence somewhere, right? That isn't always the case. But again, in formal Arabic, right, we're trying to learn like, al-Arabiyyah Taʿabbudiyyah, like devotional Arabic, formal Arabic. We do want to make sure that we learn the correct ways to do things, even though that word again, right, زدت من قراءتي للقرآن في شهر رجب, that word might not directly show up there because it just doesn't make sense. But knowing that if I eliminate it in Arabic, it also don't make no sense. It's kind of not right in Arabic, right? And that'll take a little time to gain some familiarity. All right, we have a little bit of time left, so let's read. Let's try to blow through this short passage from the Risala here. Do you all have this? Do you got it, Ishaq? You can borrow mine for now.
Is it the same?
It's the one that says this. It's a new section.
I'll just follow.
No. Oh no, you gonna get yours too, bro. Especially after that last comment. No, you got it coming. Yeah, you can keep that one. Okay, so let's go ahead. Ruh, we'll start with you. We can do the first sort of paragraph sentence there. وَمِن ذَلِكَ. بالقلب والنطق. So the wa, right? You have what بالقلب,
Okay.
and then the wow of in والنطق is going to carry the harf jar. So right, بالقلب والنطق.
بالقلب.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, you could almost think of it there as like a comma. I don't know if I wrote that in there. So yes, actually, no, you're right. What? So it'd be what? وَمِن ذَلِكَ الْإِيمَانُ بِالْقَلْبِ, comma, وَالنُّطْقُ بِاللِّسَانِ. So actually, yeah, that part is right. Now, inna, anna, right? And we said anna, the word that comes after is going to be mansub. Good. Ilahun. واحد. إله واحد. غيره. Yep, ولا شبيه, right? لا شبيه له. You know the phrase وحده لا شريك له. لا شريك له. Right? So in Arabic, when we want to make a simple kind of negation, La ilaha illallah. And then what? لا شريك. شريك ما معنى شريك؟ Yeah, somebody that shares. شركة, to share. Nobody shares, no partner. So we say لا إله لا إله إلا الله. لا إله لا شريك له. Right? لا شبيه له. So you can use the word la, nahi, as a negation, and then the ism is going to be mansub. So la sharika, la shabi'a lahu.
ولا نذير له
Very good.
ولا ولد له
Naam.
ولا والد له
Sahih.
ولا صاحبة له
Naam.
ولا شريك له
Sahih.
ليس أو
Yeah, I know this one's.
ليس
So there's li, harf jar. What is the word for first in Arabic?
أول
Awwal. So li awwaliyatihi. Li awwaliyatihi. So there's a shadda on the waw and the shadda on the ya. Li awwaliyatihi.
ليس لأوليته
Ibtida'un wala.
ولا
It's going to be the opposite of awwal, right?
ولا آخرة
Wala li. No, you're good.
ولا
Yeah. Very good.
لآخريته انقضاء
Inqi'un.
انقضاء.
So look, before we had what? Laysa li awwaliyatihi ibtida'un. Look at the form of ibtida', and then we also have what? Inqida'. They're built on the same form. He's doing this because remember, he wants to make this rhyme, right? He wants to make this rhyme to help facilitate memorization. So we have also pairings or opposites. We have al-awwal and al-akhir, the first and the last. So what? Laysa li awwaliyatihi ibtida'un wala li akhiriyatihi inqida'un. They're rhyming and they're paired as opposites, right, to help facilitate memorization. So in terms of the meaning, وَمِن ذَلِكَ الْإِيمَانُ بِالْقَلْبِ. What does this mean? الترجمة. How would you translate the phrase وَمِن ذَلِكَ?
From that,
Yeah, pertaining to or from that or, right? It's a transition. Al-Iman,
faith,
in relating to faith, bil-qalbi,
of the heart,
or
or
with the heart, right? Believing with the heart. وَالنُّطْقُ. What's nutq? So he already mentioned natiq or natiqin in the page before. Now you may not have memorized it, right? But in before he mentioned about the salihun or the righteous people that they professed their iman on their tongues. Natiqin. So the important letters are these three here. Al-huruf al-asliya, noon, wa-ta, wal-qaf. So noon, ta, qaf, al-jadhar. So ismuna al-akhir, our other word, is what? Nutq. Nutaqa as a verb means what? Right. بمعنى لفظ أو تكلم. Right? Like to talk, right? To speak, to utter. Right? So he's saying what? ومن ذلك الإيمان بالقلب. So as it pertains to or relates to iman with the heart, والنطق باللسان. What do you say with the tongue? What's very important to say with the tongue as a Muslim? There you go, the shahada. So you have faith in your heart, but you also proclaim it publicly, وَالنُّطْقُ بِاللِّسَانِ, and to profess it out loud. What are you going to profess? أَنَّ اللَّهَ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. That Allah is, right, that Allah is one God. What لا إله غيره,
There is no other God.
besides him. ولا شبيه له. شبيه. شبيه. Exactly. From, right, shabaha means to like you ever heard of the mathala? Are you familiar with like mithal, mathala, to be similar to, right? من تشبه بقوم فهو منهم. Whoever, right, imitates or resembles a people, then he's one of them. This is one of the hadiths we get bludgeoned with over the head by some people, right? So shabiha means there's none that resembles him, right? There's no I mean, it's an odd word. It's like saying there's no resembler to him, because shabih is what? It's ism fa'il. So there's no partner for him. There's none that resembles him. La shabiha lahu. Wala nadhira lahu. What does nadhara mean? That's nadhara. Nadhara is to warn, but this is, well, that is like intidhar. Intidhar is to wait. Nadhara is to warn. Nadhara bima'ana ra'a. What is ra'a? To see, to look upon. To look upon something in particular with ocular vision. Wala nadhir. Wala nadhira lahu. Nobody gazes upon Allah. None can look upon Him. Right? None can look upon Allah. Wala walada lahu.
He has no son.
Wala walida lahu.
He has no father.
Also, no parent. But yes, specifically no father, no parent. Wala sahibata lahu. Sahiba.
He has
Sahib is what?
companion,
Sahiba would be what?
wife or spouse.
Yeah. So wala sahibata lahu. Wala sharika lahu. We are already familiar with that. Laysa li awwaliyatihi. Awwal, to awwaliya. Awwaliya. So awwal means first, right? Awwaliyat means like a firstness. I could say ... ness. There is no initiation to him. Right? Laysa li awwaliyatihi ibtida'un. Right? Ibtada. Ibtada'un. Right? Bada'a means what? To begin. So ibtada'a means like origination. So there is no origination to him being first and foremost. Because Allah, one of Allah's names is what? Al-Awwal. Right? So la li'awwaliyatihi ibtida'un. There's no beginning to his firstness. Right? وَلَا لِآخِرِيَتِهِ. As we can already mention, akhir, meaning lastness, right? اقتضاء. So اقتضاء. Oh, انقضاء. Sorry, انقضاء. 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 So the root that's important here is qada. What's qada? What's a qadi? A judge. What does a judge do? They judge. Very good. All right, class dismissed, right? But they do what? They bring deliberations to what? An end, to a conclusion. So Allah Ta'ala is al-akhir, right? He is the final, the last one. And so he's saying, he said, what? There is likewise, just as there is no beginning to his firstness, there is no ending to his lastness. لَيْسَ لِأَوَّلِيَتِهِ إِبْتِدَاءٌ وَلَا لِآخِرِيَتِهِ إِنْقِضَاءٌ. Now this is like kind of getting into aqidah and stuff like that. Yes.
You're saying ibtida'un and inqida'un, and here you have ibtida'an and inqida'an.
That might have been a typo on my part. So if you didn't have the harf li, then that could receive the action of laysa directly, because laysa is still a verb. But it really should be laysa li awwaliyatihi ibtida'un wala li akhiriyatihi inqida'un. Because of the harf between the verb and the noun, then it should be marfu'. So there might be a typo ahead in there. Yeah, what is laysa? Laysa مثل لا، يعني هو فعل قام بمعنى نهي، not, right? ليس كمثله شيء. You guys familiar with this verse? What is the meaning? ليس كمثل الله، يعني مثل الله، ليس كمثله شيء. There is nothing like Allah's, not just nothing like Allah. There's nothing like Allah's mithl. There's nothing like Allah's likeness. That Allah is al-ahad. He is so unique that He has a likeness that nothing is like it. Allah is not bound by logic, right? I mean, this is a really like mind-blowing verse. Laysa ka mithlihi. So it says that Allah has a mithl, like you and I have a mithl. We have a resemblance of some sort. And so that's why all of us, despite our different, so-called ethnic backgrounds, you can all say, okay, these are all men in this room. There's some mithl that we all share, that we can see that each and every one of us is a man, despite our differences in height, complexion, body type, and so on. Allah is so unique, He has a mithl, but nothing resembles it. So, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ. So laysa is the verb of negation. The verb used to negate. Okay. Rob, the next paragraph.
لا يبلغ كنها صفاته الواصفون ولا يحيط بأمره المتفكرون يعتبر المتفكرون بآياته ولا يتفكرون
Yeah, you're good. Yep. Mm-hmm.
بالماهية
في, not, there's ما في تعريف, so في.
ماهية ذاته.
Good. بلغ. بلغ. What is بلغ as a verb? So when we have a Safi, what's a Safi? Nope. What's a tifl? A baby, little boy. Safi, it's like a toddler, young boy, like 2.5 to 5. We call this like Safi. Most importantly, umruhu, his age, is what? قبل وقت المبالغة. Right? His age is what? قبل وقت المبالغة. What is, if a person is مبالغ, what does it mean? No, that's walada. مبالغ.
Sure.
I mean, it's true, they will have responsibilities placed upon them, but why? They've matured because of why?
Because
They went from here, which is what? طفلة, childhood, to مبالغة, puberty. They arrived, right? They came to, or they arrived, right? So the meaning here of لا يبلغ, لا, negating, right? He's saying, you could say he or they, because also this is uslub. You can say لا يفعل, and you could have this be for huwa and also hum, even though it's not yaf'aluna, right? So he's saying what? لا يبلغ كنها, كنها صفاته, صفاته. So this is going to be number 1, إضافة. So كنها صفاته. What is a كنه? كنهن, or in this case كنها صفاته. كنه. We say كنه بمعنى جوهر. Jawhar is like the essence of something. Yani lub. Like the lub of a thing, the essence of something. So he's saying nobody. By not saying who you're talking about, la yablughu, is like saying no one. No one, la yablughu kunha sifatihi al-wasifun. Al-wasifuna. Wasafa wasafa. What is the meaning of wasafa? It is related to the word that you're familiar with. You just mentioned Ishaq. Sifa. A sifa is what? What's a sifa in grammar? Adjective, right? A description, an adjective. It comes from the verb wasafa, that means to describe. Therefore, a describer, an ism fa'il, is going to be a wasif, somebody that is doing the action of describing. So he's saying, La yablughu kunha sifatihi al-wasifun. People that try to pontificate and claim that they can describe God on their own terms versus what he has told them about himself through his revelation and through his prophets, لا يبلغوا كنها صفته. They do not attain the essence of him through whatever attributes they describe of him. And even when they have the correct attributes of him from revelation and from his messengers and prophets, that in no way imparts access to the very essence of God. Yet لا يبلغ كنها صفته الواصفون ولا يحيط, right? حاط, أحاط, أحاط means to surround or encompass. What doesn't, what? ولا يحيط بأمره المتفكرون. Nor can the people of, like philosophers, nor can they encompass any of his affair. Right? ولا يحيط بأمره يعني بأمر الله, because Allah is what? هو مدبر الأمر. Allah says in the Quran that Allah Ta'ala is the director of affairs. He is the mudabbir. Allah is al-mudabbir. He is the conductor and the arranger and the determiner of the affairs of the heavens and the earth. And they're saying when it comes to the amr of Allah, they say what? وَلَا يُحِيطُ بِأَمْرِهِ الْمُتَفَكِّرُونَ. The people that of tafakkur, right? They don't achieve or they do not encompass any of his affair. يَعْتَبِرُوا يَعْتَبِرُوا اِعْتَبَرَ اِعْتَبَرَ اِعْتَبَرَ, that's the verb. يَعْتَبِرُوا, right? To reflect. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ, and ibara. Allah Ta'ala said when he أخذ Fir'aun, when he snatched Fir'aun and drowned him in the ocean and his army, he made them an ibara. He made them an example for people to reflect on. So he says what? يَعْتَبِرُوا الْمُتَفَكِّرُونَ بِآيَاتِهِ. Rather, they do not, they can reflect upon his ayat, but they do not have access to the very essence of who Allah is. Meaning there are limits to human reason and human faculty. The most we can do is to contemplate the meanings that Allah Ta'ala has told us of those descriptions of his asma'i wa sifat that he has elected to tell us about in the Quran, or that his messengers have elected to inform us thereof. Okay, Ishaq. But what are you about to read? I put it in, right? Yeah, so, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
بشيء من علمه إلا بما شيء إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا
يؤوده حفظهما.
وهو العلي العظيم.
Now what ayah is this? نعم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. He then proceeds to say, Ishaq, العالم
قدير
المدير
قدير السميع البصير
السميع البصير
السميع البصير العلي الكبير
وأنه Remember, we had those two opposites. We had tahta, underneath, and the one above is فوق. أنه نعم فوق. What is Allah upon? He's فوق him.
عرشه المجيد
بذاته
وهو في كل
مكان
وهو في كل مكان بعلمه.
No, what does he have? بعلم, right? بعلمه.
خلق
فعل. So it's Allah doing the action. He بني على الفعل. Yes. خلق
الإنسان خلق الإنسان.
Because insan is not doing the create. We didn't create ourselves. They are receiving the action of creation.
خلق الإنسان
يعلم. Yep.
ويعلم ما
توسوس
به
نفسه.
نفسه.
Because nafs is doing the waswasa.
نفسه وهو أقرب
Yep.
أقرب
Yep.
إليه
Yep.
من حبل
Yep.
من حبل وريد
Warid. Yep. Good. So I'll read through this because it's almost 1:30 and I know we'll stop to pray. So I'll just read really quick from the top and go through, and then next week we'll pick up and we'll finish the other half. So he says, باب ما تنطق به الألسنة وتعتقده الأفئدة من واجب أمور الديانة لا يبلغ كنها صفة الواصفون ولا يحيط بأمره المتفكرون يعتبر المتفكرون بآياته ولا يتفكرون في ماهية ذاته. In that sentence in particular, the ماهيته, that is literally the conjunction of ma and hiya. So in the sentence that begins with لا يبلغ, right, the last part says what? في ما هي ذاته. So this word here is a conjunction of ma. What does ma mean? Ma can mean several things. It can mean no, it can mean what, as in a question, or it can mean that, right? Like what, as in a declarative. So ma hiya, there's a shadda on the ya. Hiya is what? Hiya. So ma hiyat, right, is like a conjunction, what it is. Fi mahiyati dhatihi, regarding, right, what is the essence of himself. لا ولا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم العالم الخبير المدين القدير السميع البصير العلي الخبير وأنه فوق عرشه المجيد بذاته وهو في كل مكان بعلمه خلق الإنسان ويعلم ما توسوس به نفسه وهو أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد. Tamam. We will read the rest of this, inshallah, next week. Any questions before we stop and pray? I know I don't have any.
Sheikh, I can't remember if it was last time or the time before you mentioned, you threw it out there to us about getting together to read Quran, and you said not doing tajweed, or I mean, even based on your judgment with tajweed. I was just wondering if you guys, if there was a time during the week or anything like that.
I mean, my time is very flexible, so let me know. I'm happy, throw out a time in the Discord and see if anybody wants. I mean, I'm happy. I mean, it can just be the two of us, or like I said, we could even pick a couple times, maybe a time that works for Ruh or Ishaq or you, and it can be a couple times a week. And so not everybody has to have the obligation to make every single one. But yeah, I think that would be a really important and wonderful idea to do it's wonderful to do all this, but we should also establish like a connection with reading the Quran and becoming proficient at that as well, which is, part of the end goal of all this is that when you read the Quran, you understand it, but also that you'll read the Quran and have some facility with reading the Quran, right? So yeah, I think it's a great idea. Feel free to drop any times that work for you in the Discord, and then they can respond and we can work out. Maybe it'll even be more than once a week, and whoever can make it makes it, But I would love to, sure.
From myself, see it as immediately after 4 or 5 or
I don't know if you have the same schedule every week, like with your flying, or if it alters, or
It generally is a 3-week rotation where I fly and I'm gone, and it'll be kind of tough to do it during that week. And then there's 1 week where I go to the airport and I'm there for really early in the morning, like before Fajr, through like the end of Fajr time. But then I'm usually not. I can't, like, I'm on call, and every once in a while we do an ad hoc flight somewhere, but that's like, say, 1 out of 20 days or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And then the 3rd week in the rotation, I'm just on call, so I don't, I'm free. I mean, I have to
Sure.
have my phone on me in case, you know, something happens, but every third week I'm pretty free. So during the day, generally, more times than not, I do have time. So I don't know you guys.
Like-
question?
Well, it's kind of I left it trailing, meaning it like I don't know how that works in with what you guys have going on.
So in the evening, so like I have to go back to the office now, right? So at least 3 days out of the week, right? So those 3 days that I go to the office, then my time is like really restricted. So that's why I say before Fajr or literally right after Fajr, and then that would unfortunately impact how long we can actually do it because I got to get on the freeway. But then I'm not back on this side of town probably until 8:30